These are actually baseboard side splitters from Home Depot. I bought baseboard, painted them black, and then mounted them. I'm a wheel junkie, but I do not pay for $3,000–$4,000 wheels. I try different wheels and I switch them out quite a bit, so I don't really need to spend too much money on wheels. Like many car enthusiasts, I love wagons. And unfortunately in the US, there's just not a massive selection of wagons, especially ones that are affordable. And today we're going to talk about my 2018 E400 wagon, which is kind of rare, I guess you could call it, in the US. I get a lot of questions about this car. So in this video, I figured, you know what? I'm going to cover this very quickly. I'm going to cover all the mods that I've done on the outside, on the inside, everything I've done to the engine, the suspension, as well as the wheels and tires, because I turned it from this to this.
Before we dive in, I wanted to take a few seconds to talk about this model of Mercedes Wagon, at least in the US-Spec. My model is the 2017 to 2018 version, with the M276 twin-turbo V6 motor making 329 horsepower and 354 pound-foot of torque, paired with an average 9-speed transmission. In 2019, the body remained generally unchanged, but the interior was refreshed a bit, and most importantly, the new refresh to the motor went in, pushing the vehicle up to an E450, which now made 362 horsepower and 369 pound-foot. A decent bump. The best info that I could get about this confusing platform is that in 21, the US received an all-terrain model only, with a refreshed exterior and interior, but added the cladding as the only option in the US. I believe ride height was also a little bit higher, but I couldn't confirm that. Power remained the same as the previously refreshed E450. It is important to note that this motor and power plant shares a lot with the C43 AMG or other twin-turbo V6 AMG applications, but what I gathered is that the transmission is very different, and I can confirm that. I drove a C43, and versus my E400, the C43 has a significantly snappier and better performing transmission. Hope this clears up this chassis a little bit and gives you an idea of what my car is that we're going to cover now.
Most of the mods on this car are aesthetic, so let's take a quick walk around and I'll show you everything that I've done. Starting off in the front, I've got the eBay lip, and I actually just replaced this lip because I took it to Tail of the Dragon, had a little minor mishap, and replaced this. And this is actually a version 2 of the lip that I had. I've also got these additional eBay accents right here. Without those, the car actually looked a little odd because the splitter was aggressive, but then nothing else in the front was really sticking out. So I think those pieces really helped tie the front end up. I also had something similar on my Audi S4 and I loved them. The only other thing I did in the front was black the grille out, except the Mercedes logo. I like the little touch of silver in the front to avoid completely blacking it out. Walking around the car, you'll see that I've added the bi-turbo 4MATIC emblem right here. We'll get to wheels and tires in a little bit, but I did blue out my calipers. Here you'll see some universal mud flaps. I add these to basically every car I have. I can adjust them and they're super easy to use. And then going down here, this is what I think will surprise and probably turn off the most amount of people. These are actually baseboard side splitters from Home Depot. So I basically went and I bought baseboard from Home Depot, painted them black, and then mounted them. Originally it started as an experiment because I wanted something a little bit more rounded, but now that they're on there, I just don't really feel like messing with it. And then some of the other modifications really start on the rear end. The rear end of this car is very, very basic coming from the factory. I had to get a little creative here. Back here, we started with the E53 eBay rear diffuser. So this quad exhaust and the diffuser itself. And then I went and added this piece right here, which is actually from Etsy. And it actually came with these additional kind of fin diffusers that did get ripped off when I was at Tail of the Dragon. So unfortunately, I don't have them anymore. In the corners, I also have these, and this is the Maxton pieces. So without those, the car still looked a little high. Those Maxton corners actually made the car very, very complete. The other Maxton part I have is the spoiler. I really want a spoiler like the one that I had on my Buick Regal Tour X. Unfortunately, I cannot find a company that makes it. So this was my really only viable option without going universal. I did debadge it, so you can see that there's no badges back here. I left that silver to match the front. And of course, there's my favorite license plate, a burger and pizza. I did black out my door handles to kind of give it less chrome. That basically wraps up the exterior of everything that I've done on this car. The only things I've added to the interior of this car, I love dash cams. I've done multiple videos about why everyone should have one. The one I end up using is the FITCAM in this car because I just wanted a seamless design that doesn't add anything to my dashboard. I'm an affiliate for FITCAMX, so feel free to check it out if you are interested, because I do have a discount code. And the only other mod that I've done on the interior is added the 3D Max Spider mats, I think is what they're called. So let's dive into everything that I've done that's more of an engine mod. I don't want to call it a performance mod because I'll get reamed for calling everything a performance mod. So immediately you will see that I have the CTS intakes. I did a video on these. They sound pretty good. This car is actually really, really quiet from the factory. In fact, even adding the intakes barely added any audible level of turbo noise. So my fix was at that point to maybe look at some vent to atmosphere or blow off valves. That is where you will see is the Model Works vent to air adapter. This thing is loud. It sounds great. But I could see why some people would get annoyed of it. It actually comes with two. And as of right now, I've only installed the one. The other one's really hard to get to, but I do plan on getting to it because I'm not really sure if this is actually hurting the performance or wear on the turbos or anything like that. But I do plan on installing both of them. And last but not least, in the engine bay at least, is the most controversial, I think, modification that I've done, which is the race chip. I've actually mounted my race chip right here. And yeah, I'm fully aware of the reputation for race chip. I did a whole video on why I chose race chip, and you can actually check it out here because I actually have the dyno results and everything. But at the end of the day, for this video, I do have a race chip installed, and that's exactly where I mounted it, over there. When it comes to performance mods, that's basically everything I've done except one more thing that I feel like maybe even more controversial than the race chip, and that is throttle controller right here. I've basically been using the same kind of cheap knockoff throttle controller on my last 4 cars, and I've never had any issues with it. I don't want to get into the debate of if this throttle control actually does anything. For me, I've used it on 4 cars, and I'm going to continue using it because even before I got the tune, this thing helped a lot when it comes to day-to-day drivability.
As I mentioned before, this car is extremely quiet. In sport mode, you really can't hear anything. But I'm also not a fan of super loud cars, at least cars that are loud all the time. I wanted to keep the option of loud versus quiet, so I decided to do an electric cutout. Because I didn't want to invest a lot, since I didn't know what it would sound like, I ordered a cheaper kit on eBay, got it installed, and now I use it all the time. You can actually check out my video on this. 90% of the time that I'm driving by myself, the valves are open. However, late at night, or if I'm driving into my neighborhood late at night, I close them. It's not a great exotic sound, but the burbles and minor pops are so good with the valves open. It also helps me with shifting points while driving hard. Let's check out some audio clips.
Let's move on to suspension mods on how I got this car lowered. Now, most E63s and most higher end Mercedes have all air. However, this being the Wagon, this has rear air suspension for auto self-leveling, and the front is basically just standard suspension, which is coils and struts. So I had to do a little bit of guesswork to really dial in the suspension. And honestly, it was a pretty expensive guesswork. At first, I installed the B8 Bilstein struts with H&R springs, and it came with rear lowering links with the H&R kit. I got that installed, and turns out when I installed it, the car didn't look any lower. I let it settle, I gave it some time. The performance was better. It gave you that B8 Bilstein performance, which got rid of some of the floatiness and the bubbliness, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do, which was lowering the car. So I ended up selling the B8/H&R combo to somebody on the forums and taking a risk and ordering some Seika coilovers. I did a whole video about this, and I reached out to a bunch of different companies. Finally, Seika came back. They were pretty confident this would work with the S213. And turns out they were right, because that's actually how I ended up with the car looking this way. So at first I lowered the front and got the shop to basically dial it in exactly where I wanted. And then I went back and readjusted my H&R links in the rear to air it out to where it thought that it was level. And now the car, I think, sits at a really good height for daily driving. It's not slammed, it has enough room for tire clearance, but at the same time, it does look pretty aggressive. They're perfect for daily driving. I can stiffen them up a little bit. The only other suspension upgrade that I've done is the Ultra Racing strut bar. There's the Ultra Racing strut bar, and it actually goes to the other side and connects both sides. Also at home, I have an Ultra Racing under brace that I still need to install. I'm a wheel junkie, but I do not pay for $3,000-$4,000 wheels. I try different wheels and I switch them out quite a bit, so I don't really need to spend too much money on wheels. So on my car right now, I have Audi RS6 knockoffs. These are in a bronze color. They came like that from the seller that I bought them from on eBay. They are 20x9 plus 30, and in the front you can see that I actually have like a 3mm spacer to just clear the brakes a little bit better. My tires are actually 255/35 20s Nitto Motivos, or Nitto Motivos, however you want to say it. I think the fit's pretty good. I could probably use a little bit of bigger spacer in the rear to push this out. I could push it out a little bit more. There you have it. Everything on my 2018 twin-turboed V6 Mercedes E400 S213 chassis with the M276 motor. Specs. In this video, I just wanted to show everything that I've done to this car, with hopefully a little bit more to come coming soon, especially in the wheels part. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching, and like and subscribe if you just want to kind of follow along with this rare car. Thanks everybody. Bye.